Conventionally attractive people. What's the worst thing you've experienced due to your looks? I was working night shifts in the ICU when I realized my looks were actually going to kill someone. Being a guy who looked like I belonged on magazine covers instead of a hospital floor was turning into a nightmare nobody warned me about in nursing school. It started small. Older nurses would pinch my cheeks like I was their grandson visiting for Christmas. Doctors gave me stupid nicknames like Ken or Pretty Boy. Patients constantly asked if I was really qualified or just some actor filming a medical show. One elderly woman flat out refused to let me draw her blood because she thought I was too good looking to know what I was doing. But the worst part was how nobody took me seriously during emergencies. I'd give medical advice based on years of training, and people would just smile and pat my shoulder like I was cute for trying. It was beyond frustrating, but I figured I could deal with it. Then came the night that changed everything. I was monitoring Mrs. Patterson, a 60-year-old woman recovering from surgery. Around 2 in the morning, I noticed her heart rate climbing and her oxygen levels dropping. Her skin was getting pale and clammy. All the signs were there. She was going into cardiac arrest. I immediately started CPR and called for the emergency team. When they rushed in, I tried explaining what I'd observed and what actions I'd already taken, but the lead doctor, Dr. Andrews, basically shooed me away like an annoying kid. "Thanks, handsome, but we've got this," he said with this condescending smile. "Why don't you go fetch us some coffee?" I kept trying to tell them that her vitals had been declining for the past 10 minutes, that I'd already administered the initial medications, that we needed to get her to surgery immediately. But this one nurse actually laughed and said, "You're adorable when you try to sound medical. Just stay out of our way, sweetheart." They completely ignored everything I'd done and started over from scratch. They wasted precious minutes rechecking things I'd already assessed correctly. By the time they finally realized I'd been right about everything, Mrs. Patterson had flatlined. They managed to get her back, but she'd suffered severe brain damage from being without oxygen too long. I filed a formal complaint the next day, but HR basically brushed it off as a miscommunication issue. When I pushed harder and demanded a real investigation, suddenly my shifts got cut in half. Suddenly I was getting the worst assignments. Suddenly other staff members were giving me the cold shoulder. One of the supervising doctors even had the nerve to suggest I transfer to the hospital's marketing department. "You've definitely got the face for it," he said with a wink. "Maybe medical isn't really your calling." That's when I decided I wasn't backing down. I started documenting every single incident where my appearance led to professional negligence. Every time someone dismissed my medical expertise because of how I looked. Every time patient care suffered because people couldn't see past my face. After 6 months, I had a file 3 inches thick. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in workplace discrimination and reached out to families of patients who'd been affected by the staff's incompetence. Turns out Mrs. Patterson's family had been wondering why their mother came out of surgery with brain damage when she'd gone in for a routine procedure. When I presented everything to the hospital board, they tried to do damage control, but the story had already leaked to the press. The headline was something like, "Hospital staff ignores qualified nurse because he's too good looking." It went viral within hours. 3 doctors lost their licenses, including Dr. Andrews. 5 nurses were terminated. The hospital had to implement new protocols requiring staff to verify credentials and listen to all medical input during emergencies, regardless of who it comes from. Mrs. Patterson's family settled out of court for a significant amount. I still work at the same hospital, and patients still flirt with me sometimes. But now when I speak up during a medical emergency, everyone shuts up and listens.